Awesome! Woo! Well, I'm so glad you're all here. I'm just looking over the group. We've got so many really, really cool people here, good friends, and people have done courses. People have hung out with me on different groups, many different live things, and I just want to kind of help you guys. I really want to just share some of the tips and some of the tricks that I've used to get thousands and thousands of placements. And it's really funny after a while, after those handful of first placements that you get, it's like it's so awesome. But then it's like I need to get placements in order to pay the bills in order to keep doing this. So it just becomes thousands, and the placements just keep adding up, and you're like, it's very easy to do. But I remember when I first started, and a lot of you guys were kind of in that situation where, or you just start, you've only been in it for a couple of a couple of months, maybe a couple of years, and it's I'm just going to make sure I mute everyone here just so we don't have any dogs barking or anything in the background. But yeah, it's a lot easier to do than you think. And one of the things that I had to kind of keep telling myself at the beginning is like, just keep doing it, just keep doing what my mentors were saying. You show up, you write the track the best you possibly can, and you don't hang on that track for 1,000 years, all year trying to do that one track. You complete the track, and you give it a good title, and you get it signed. And that's the secret, and it's not really much of a secret at all because it ends up being a little bit of work, and that's pretty much the only secret, I guess you could kind of say, because you guys have probably heard me say this many, many times. If I can do this and successfully live off my placements and live off royalties, you can. Anyone can. It's like it's so much easier than you think. Because when I first started, and I'm gonna share a little bit of a few little things about my background and how I got started. But one of the things I want to do towards the end is I want to open up for questions from you guys because, as I said, I am here to help you. Uh, I really, really want you guys to have this opportunity to ask me questions and get those answers so that you can go forward and you can actually go and get these placements that last for decades. So let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, so I'm going to share just a little bit of my background, and then what I'm going to show is I'm going to show you my one of my TuneSat accounts that I'm going to show you a bunch of my different placements on many different shows, and we'll kind of walk through a little bit of that. And then I'm also going to show you just a few sections of my BMI statement that have showed what kind of placements I've got and what different shows kind of pay. And so let's jump right in. So I had a dream. Over a decade ago, I was back in about 2009, where I was kind of like, I really, really want to do music. I just finished doing, actually, if you rewind even further in about year 2000, I was like, I want to live off passive income. Plenty of people are like, hey, passive income, that sounds like the dream, right? And so I thought, well, real estate's probably kind of a good one for that, right? You get a rental, you get someone in there and they're paying rent, and then it kind of, pays the house off. And then, if you know the whole story, you can live off some of that money, if it pays off the mortgage and all that kind of stuff. So I ended up getting a few of these real estate properties, and fast forward a handful of years through this, trying to build up passive income after two or three different evictions that I had to do, going through all of that, and I realized that my passion, the whole goal was me to try and create passive income. So what? I could do music. And so I'm like, why don't you just skip this other step that you're not passionate about? Because it's going to take many hours trying to look for that right property. It's going to take many hours trying to, work out the deals so that you could get some passive income, so that you can build that up, so that you can live off that, and so you can do music. And so anyway, I decided after a while, about 2009, I'm like, let me just dive right into this music. Let me just do what I love doing, which is music, and find a way to make passive income with it. So so I really started looking into it, and I realized that Many of you guys have already realized this. That's like, oh, they pay money and they license your music to use your music on film and TV. And I was like, oh, the lights went on, and I was like, oh wow, I want that, and so I wanted to try and do that. And so I started that long journey of how do you do that? How do you meet publishers? How do you what kind of music do they want? Like all the questions that you're probably having, how do you do this? How do you even get set up? What kind of music? How loud should the track be? Um, Many of these different kind of questions that you guys have asked, and actually just recapping that. Every hour, if you're not quite sure, every single hour in this 24 in this two day period, there's going to be a question answered. So on the top of the hour, log into the Facebook group and you'll see one of those questions kind of answered. There's lots of different questions that you guys have actually asked me to talk about, which is really, really cool. So check out that on the top of the hour. But so many of these questions, I was like, I didn't know the answers to them, and so I started diving in. And so anyway, after a couple of years, I got my first placement. It was actually on a show called not a show, University of Phoenix. And I was like, wow, that's amazing, And they used one of my, it was kind of a kind of a rock tune, because that's kind of that was a lot of my background. I started with guitars, rock bands when I was teenager. Doing the whole surfing, rock, skater, snowboarder kind of music, punk rock kind of stuff. And so I was kind of good at that. I already kind of practiced that. I'd already done that kind of stuff. So I got one of my tracks, and they paid me like $600, and I'm like, wow. I was just like, this works. I can do this. Now I just got to do more songs, more tracks, get them to the same kind of publishers. And so of course I hit up that publisher and I said, hey, how can I get more tracks to you? And we went backwards and forwards, and I sent more to him, and he actually gave me some note. Spent the time to give me some notes and feedback on some of my tracks that weren't quite there, and many backwards and forwards, and then we worked on something else, and we just kept going, and then I've met other publishers from that point, and so fast forward, getting all the way up to about 2015, just kept building it up. I got the big placement that I'm here to talk about. That I landed one on The Big Bang Theory, and so you guys have. Let me see a show of hands if you've never heard of that show, The Big Bang Theory. If you've never heard of it, yeah, no one, everyone's heard of that one. So it's just. And it's those kind of shows that are kind of they pay for decades. It's I don't think and I don't know, like the show's only finished airing I don't even know, 5 years, 6 years, 5 years ago it's finished. It finished the seasons, and like they're not doing any more episodes. But that thing just keeps paying every single quarter, and I'm going to show you how much that pays just on one of the back ends of just the United States, just the United States of America, not around the world, just the United States, what it pays every single quarter. And I don't think that's going to go away. I got a good feeling that's going to be around, probably like the Friends, the Friends show. That's probably going to be, it's played around the world, all over the world, and it's probably going to be playing maybe a century, I don't know, 50, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years maybe. It's just such a popular one, and I'm going to be receiving a royalty from that all the time. So but yeah, so just talking about that now, you might ask, well, what kind of publisher? I can't actually give away the publisher here, because they might get swamped by thousands of people, emailing him say, hey, can you sign my song? It sounds just like Steve's song, something like that. But so I can't give you that, but I'm sure many of you, when I show you the picture, you guys might get some of the clues, and you'll know who that publisher is. But I coming back to how I kind of got that is one of the biggest little tips, or one of the little biggest secrets that I want to share with you guys is, when you do tracks, try and do them in a collection. Try and do them in a handful, because you never ever know what's going to, you never know what's going to stick. You really don't. And so there was around about this time, before I got this song signed to this company that got it placed in The Big Bang Theory, I hit up a friend of mine who was a way better mixing engineer than I was. And we decided, let's do some tracks like Philip Phillips' song Home. We thought that would be a great, here I'm just muting a few people here. So let's do a track like that song "Home" by Philip Phillips. And so we decided let's do five. So we did an EP, and we know they're kind of folky kind of tracks, and they were really fun. And then we submitted them to different publishers, and one of the songs that, and that was a surprise to me, that one's the one that got placed. It was a song called "No Place Like Home," and when it got placed, that was amazing. That was such a good credit to be able to share with other people that I'm sure a lot of other publishers heard that I'd made that song had been placed, and they're like, well, I'd love to hear some of Steve's other stuff, and I'm sure a lot of things snowballed from there. But it was such an awesome opportunity to be able to do that. But let me rewind a little bit before I keep going on that. Is before I did all those tracks, I was really focused on my why and what the dream was for me. So for me, having that passive income, building up that passive income so that I could do this full time and finally say goodbye to my boss. Does anybody does anybody have that dream, same dream as mine? And so I was, after a while, I'd slowly built up my catalog, and I built up the quality and the quantity, just kept building it up, and then just started to get a lot more placements. And then I was starting to get some regular placements, and the passive income started to slowly come in. And I remember that day where I was able to say goodbye to one of the jobs that I dreaded. I was working as a real estate. I was still doing real estate, still trying to make that transition. So I had this one. I was working on one of these display homes where people came in, and it was like on not the best side of town, and it was just like nobody was coming in, and it was like I would just sit there for hours and hours, and just I brought my guitar sometimes with me, so it was okay. I survived, but it was just such a drag. I just felt like I was wasting my time, just wasting my life doing this, and it just lit the fire even more to just like, I got to get these tracks out there. I got to get these placements. I got to get this dream of living off passive income. And now, fast forward a bunch of years, I'm able to do that. Some of you guys who know me, I love surfing. I absolutely love surfing. I love anything on the water. I was able to, through the royalties, I was able to buy a sailboat. I was able to go on surf trips. Many international surf trips. I actually just got back from Nicaragua a couple of weeks ago, which was phenomenal surf trip, all paid by royalties, and it was just such a dream and such a freedom to be able to do this music where I get to wake up in the morning, I walk into my studio, I make the music that I want to make, not having to make some sort of music that I think that they want. It's just you end up making the music you want to make, and you create those tracks, and you get them signed, and you get them signed to the publisher, and they do the other work of pitching. So I get to do music all day, or surfing, or sailing, and so it's that was my dream. And so, what is your dream? One of the things I want you guys to do is in the comments after this call, I want you guys to put in the comments what your dream is. What is your why? And I want you to, and something happens when you actually type it up, when you put it out there. Maybe your dream is, to have freedom from your boss, or from that dreaded day gig. Maybe that's your freedom, or maybe you can't wait to say say goodbye to that boss, or maybe it's another one that's really cool is maybe your dream is to that family member, or that
engineer. Did he get
oh, hang on, let me just mute. There we go. So maybe your dream is to show that family member, or maybe that friend that always told you go get a real job. You guys, actually, let me see any hands. Anyone who's had somebody say that to them? When are you going to get a real job, or when are you going to have a... Yep, there we go. So maybe your dream is to quietly and politely just, next time you see that family member or friend, just be like, when they ask you, what have you been doing? Oh, just getting my music on film and TV. Imagine that. And then you get to show them, or it's, oh yeah, and they'll just be like, what kind of show, what? And you can explain to them, maybe that's your dream, and that's a pretty powerful one. A lot of us, especially we're musicians, and a lot of us have had that that person who have said, you're not going to amount to anything, or they might have even said to you, when are you going to get that real job? When I said that just before, you're never going to amount to anything. A little story, and I don't want to get off topic or anything, but a little story. My grade 8 drama teacher, I must have been talking up the back. I'm a talker, so I might have been one of those annoying kids talking up the back in my school, in my classroom. And she pulled me up the front, and she said, Stephen Collum, you got to pay attention, blah blah blah. And then she said, you're never going to amount to anything, you little shit. And I just was like looking around, is that I couldn't believe that she said that. And I just remember that kind of like, it echoed a little bit, and that kind of gives you a bit of a determination. For me, it's like, it still kind of echoes, and I'm even just saying it now. It's and I don't know what happened to that lady. I don't know if she got fired or if anything. I want to say that, yeah, I'm a talker, so I could have annoyed her, but there's no reason to say that. But anyway, so I use that as fuel. I use that as, yes, I will, and I'm going to reach my dreams. And that's the one thing I want to encourage you guys, that you can do it. You can turn whatever you're feeling, or what words people have said, or you can turn that, and you can reach your dreams. Because going back to the real estate thing, for me, that wasn't my dreams. And sure, maybe I might have been successful, or maybe keep building that up, and then you get to that point where millions of dollars of real estate or whatever, and you could be successful. But if you're not passionate, if you don't love what you're doing, you're not successful to yourself. You're not proud of yourself. You're not loving your life, where you get to wake up in the morning and do what you want to do. I've told this to many of my students before, that I have the same amount of hours. You have the same amount of hours as, like, I don't know, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, the president, whatever, whoever it is. You're on the same level as the same amount of hours that you've got. So, what do you want to fill those hours with? What is your dream? What really inspires you? What do you love doing? For me, it's music. Music, and let's take a break, let's go surfing, let's take a break, let's go sailing. And those are my dream things. And so doing music like this can enable you to do that. It does give you the freedom. You can maybe you have a dream, maybe you want to live anywhere. Maybe you're sick of being tied down to that place. Maybe you've been in the same town your whole life, and you're like, I got to get out. I want to be able to travel and work and do music at the same time. So that's something that's really, really cool. And but I just want to kind of throw that out to you guys, to start dreaming about it. And as I said, what I want you to do in the comments on the after this video is, after we get off here, I want you, that's your homework. That's what I want you to do. I want you to put your dream in there. Whatever your dream is your dream, whatever that is. We've just talked about that. So that's your kind of like call to action homework right there. So let's dive right in, and I want to show you guys, I'm going to have a look at the chat here pretty soon, but let me go ahead and show you some of my TuneSat things, just to kind of get you inspired, just so you can see that, wow, that's how they use stuff over and over and over again. So let me go here. All right, first of all, let me just show you the Big Bang placement here. Where is my screen share? Okay, cool. Can you guys see that? Can everyone see that? All right, cool. So this is the Big Bang placement that I got, that just keeps paying every single quarter, just in North America. So this is just North America. This is not Australia. This is not streaming. This is just on a TV station over here. It's on TBS. So if it plays on TBS, and it just play. This one was a recent one off a recent statement, and so they're right there, 246 bucks. So you might think, well, that's not really that much. But when I first got this place, we got a nice big sync fee up front, and then the first time it aired, the very first time it was uh, big network, and it paid really really nice, like the first upfront kind of thing. So, and now this one also is a collaboration with a friend of mine. So you can double that, and you can say about 500 bucks for a placement that just keeps paying for decades. Like, I honestly don't think the Big Bang Theory is going to stop playing. Someone's going to play it somewhere in the world, and this is just for North America. So if you do the math, you can work that out. But that's a very nice placement. And the only tricks or the only little secrets to getting those kind of ones.
Steve, all we're seeing is football on your screen share.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Thank you, Cinda. All right, let me see here.
David, what do you want it?
Right there. You guys see that now? All right, good. Thank you. Okay, so we have the Big Bang Theory here. So this is what you can see here. So some of you guys might be able to, you can see some of the details here, and so again, just recapping again, I'm only 50% owner of this because I wrote it with a collaborator. It's about 240. So let's round it up to $500 for that placement. And now this one is just an air that it was just aired. This is not the first time. This is off my recent statement. My first placement was 2015, I believe, with the Big Bang Theory. So actually, it might have been 13. I'll have to have another look, but after a while, you play, as I said earlier, the placements they just keep adding up, and it's just like you just keep making music because that's what you love. It's not after you've looked at all these placements and drooled a little bit and been, oh, this is unreal. Then it's like, well, so what? You got to do more music. Let's do more music, and so that's kind of like, so you'll see there means super background vocal, and I went for 1 minute and 51 seconds, which usually pays a little bit more. I think I'd have to double check, but I think it's that might be the date there, 2013, when that 13 is. But the song is called Your Love Has Got Me, and yeah, so that's basically, as I said, just North America, and just for one song that took us about, I don't know, 2 days of work, I guess. But those kind of placements, they can happen if you know what the industry wants, if you get it buttoned up, you get it signed to the right publishers, and you do it all again, and you do them in numbers. And so that's kind of a really really cool thing. Let me just jump over now to the NFL stuff. So here's some other NFL placements. I might just share my screen here so that I can pull things in and out. So all right, so here's some NFL stuff. Now I'll tell you a cool little story about the NFL stuff. So I was recently the following year, after I got this statement, so these were placed in the 2021 season. So I believe it was for Thanksgiving in 2021. I was just talking to one of my cousins-in-law. I believe it is my wife's cousin. So I was talking to him, and he loves football. Absolutely loves football. We all have those friends that know the stats on every single player in the whole NFL. We all have those friends that they just study it, and he loves it. And so when I kind of, when some of the things that he asked me, so what do you do with your music, and what kind of placements, I knew that he would love it if I said, NFL. And so I told him NFL, and I told him some of the games here that they played in. And it's the same track. If you look here, same track, Living Without Gravity, except for this Arcade Weekend track. But Living Without Gravity, the same track every single time, just constantly gets used. And so during that season, and And I remember telling him, and it was great. He was absolutely just eating it up and just going, oh my goodness. And then I, of course, me being Mr. Joker myself, I told him, I said, yeah, yeah, me and Tom Brady are good buddies, And he's like, are you serious? Are you serious? I'm like, no, I don't know. I said, shall I get him on the? Shall I get him on the note? You want to call? You want to talk to him? And he's like, no. So it was really funny, but just showing you that these placements, you do one song. This track here, which I'm about to play for you guys, Living Without Gravity, took me a little over 2 hours to do. And it's just this is not the only placements that it used, but look at the payments. They add up. Like take off the arcade weekend, 500. What's that, like $200, $250, maybe 300 there of just this one track. And this is just one play, but they played it so many times. And that's not the end of that track. That track's gone on. That track's already had a bunch of placements before this one. But let me go ahead and I'll just show you what that song sounds like. So right here, I have it under a title of tracks here called 2 Hour Songs, because I wanted to do something different. I wanted to see if I could come up with a track in 2 hours. And as I said, I'm a guitarist. Anything rock is just so easy for me. But I would tell you right now, there's a genre that's easy for you. Maybe it's country, maybe it's singing, maybe it's classical, whatever that genre is. You have a lot of experience in it already. And this is this was a track that was very easy for me. So I'll just play it now. So these are just the alts and the stems that they wanted for this library. All right, so just looking at the date there, that one is, where is it? 2013. I wrote that song, and as I said over here, I've already got bunches of placements with that song. That title keeps jumping up, and it's a good track. I did something right there. I don't know what I did, but all the stars aligned, and I showed up. I pushed record and came up with a riff, and I did all the steps, but sometimes it doesn't line up, and then sometimes it does, and that was a great track. But I wrote that back in 2015. And I will tell you there, look at this duration, 111. So for anybody who's in my courses or anybody who I've taught, the magic number is 130. That's where you want to be. So that was before I learned that. That was before I did it. So it's not optimal. You want to aim for the 130, but that one got placed, And if you hear it, there's a lot of edit points as well. That's like dun 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 dun. Lots of silence, I'm getting paid for silence in that track every now and then, so that's great. But so that's just one little track I wanted to show you guys, and just some of the placement. Now let's before I wrap up, I just want to show you a little bit of my TuneSat here. Some of you guys have seen this. TuneSat is a company where you can upload your songs to, and it just tracks them. It doesn't pay you royalties or anything. It just tracks what the placements that you've got. And so as I said here, if you look at these numbers, 500 per page, there's 2 pages. Is there 3? Maybe there's 3 pages. So there's just so many tracks. Oh, yep, 3. Is there 4? I don't know. There's just so many of these placements. I think it's just 3 pages. So these are just some of them. Now, I don't know why it's not playing. When we push play, sometimes it doesn't play on TuneSat. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not playing. Sometimes it doesn't. Normally it plays a little bit, but I'll just show you some of these placements. Let's look at these dates. I'll see if I rewind it to the earliest time I uploaded these. All right, so that was 21. So this looks like this might be the earliest. It's 2015, World of the Bright. Just look how many times when you get some of these placements, they just keep playing and they keep paying and they keep going on replay. And it's just amazing because you just look at these dates, like the 6th, now this is the 2nd, the 1st, the 4th, looks like they're kind of going down. 2015, keep going down. We're looking for, that's the World of the Bright there. So just for all that few months there, it's just playing on that Catfish show. Here's the World of the Bride again. More of a on this ridiculous show. It's a different one, same song on a different 13 going 30, same song, different placement. World of the Bride over here. And if you, I wonder if we can. And there's this Camp Shuffle one that just keeps popping up. 2013. World of the Bright. There you go. It also played on the 2021 as well. So you're talking, what is that, 5-6 years of this song making money, making placements. So on a different show, same song. I probably spent 4 or 5 hours doing this track. And there you go, more placements. It just keeps adding up. And some of these, I don't know. I've only been in the industry for a little over a decade, but I don't know, maybe 2 decades, 3 decades on some of these simple little instrumental cues. And you can do these with collaborators. Find a collaborator that will that really adds something that you can't do. If you can't mix, like the one with the one I was just talking about with the Big Bang Theory. If you can't mix that well, bring in a collaborator and do your thing and get them to mix, and whatever it is, you can find these collaborations, and this stuff really just does add up. So in my dreams, they just kept using that a lot. Look at that. VH1, and that was a commercial, some sort of commercial thing. I think it was an infomercial or something. American Foundation Service, yep, something like that. I'll just keep going a little bit here, show you a few more. Unwelcome guests, that gets used a lot. And now keep in mind with TuneSat, you only can upload 50 songs. So I only have 50 songs in here, or 50 tracks in here before you have to start paying for it. And as I said before, I'm more concerned about writing the next track than just looking over all my credits. I'm the kind of guy who's climbing the mountain. I'm just like, got to get to the next level, got to get to the, I want to go up to the next ledge. And sometimes I need to sit down and just look at how far I've gone. But, it's like, for me, I just love the journey. I just love keep writing, keep making more music. And so World of the Bright, there we go, more of them. 21, that one keeps playing a lot. Motor Burnt. Yesterday's Sunrise, that's a nice one. I really wish I could play some of these, but I don't know why. Oops.
How's it going? You're still in Brooklyn?
Yeah.
How are things with you and work and your family?
Work is actually great. Like my family, I talked to them more about Bree. Can't wait for her to meet them. She's actually planning on coming out here soon.
That's great. So that one played. That's World of the Bright. That was the track you can hear. It's only like 3 or 4 instruments in that one. Yesterday's Sunrise. See if this one plays.
Yeah, it is.
So as you walk through, over here, got the cool little chandelier.
This is rustic.
Yeah, you're taking it in?
It's extremely different. I come from a condo in Sherman Oaks into inside-outside kitchen.
So if you guys can hear that, that's a solo acoustic guitar. I know it's kind of down low. Can you guys hear that? Show me your hands if you can hear that. So that's down really low, but I'll tell you right now, that track there, and I'm just kind of realizing this now, that I started with my V strategy, which I talk about in my courses, like where you kind of start, And I'm a guitarist, so, and I couldn't record that well. I was still just learning all the stuff. And but I knew that I could play guitar. I practiced for hours and hours when I was, a teenager, and I just spent so much time playing guitar that I knew I could play. And so I just had to learn how to record it, and just one track. And so all I did was record one track, and that one's called Yesterday Sunrise. And there you go. So that's what it got placed, and I didn't even know quite what I was doing. I was just giving it a go. And so I was using the expertise that I'd had already practiced, and I was using that and just doing what my mentor said, button it up, give it a title, and get it signed, and move on to the next one. And that's all I was doing. And knowing that I've got a long way to go. I've got to still get better. I've still got to do this. It's still just little old me. So it's like, let's keep doing it. Just keep doing it. I will get better as I practice. And as I said, that's the V strategy. If I can do it, you can do it. So let me just play a few more. And that was placed twice there. If we see Yesterday Sunrise, you'll see that again, that it got played. And I think it did get used a few times. Let me just play a couple more here. Let's do Dirt Bike Brawl, if it plays. No, it doesn't like that one. So Motor Burn, or nope, that one didn't want to play either. So all right, let me try one more. In My Dreams. Let's see that.
There are just so many everyday working class people in the AAPI community whose strength and resilience powers so much in our community and in our economy in this country.
You cannot have the true history of America without the history of Asian Americans.
We still see the stereotype is that Asian American.
So there you go. There's another one of just simple acoustic guitar that I'm still just learning what I'm doing. How do we get proper gain staging? This was probably in the first couple of years that I, did it. And it just keeps being, that one's popped up a few times earlier, but that one I got paid, or it got placed and paid. One of the placements of it, the one we just listened to, was last year on the 5th of the 21st. So and the reason why I want to share all these things with you guys is that it's a lot easier than you think. That opportunity of living off royalties, that opportunity of your dreams, whatever they are, to show that family member that they need to go get a real job, because look at what you're doing with your life, and it creates a more happy you. It creates more of it's so inspiring that it creates you to be more of a happy person, and then you get to share more happiness, and you get to shine your light. You get to be more of a positive person to be around, and people love being around you because you're so fun. You're enjoying life. You're not dreading waking up the next morning and going to that day gig or whatever that is. Doing this creates such freedom. So yeah, guys, so I want to open it up to any question you guys have. I think I might have seen a few float by, but go ahead and pop them up in the chat if you got any questions. As I said, I want to help you guys out. If I can do this, you can do it. And there is so many opportunities out there. I tell my students all the time that if I was able to push pause on the whole world and then just be like, pause, okay, now I'll go into my studio and I'll write 1,000 tracks. There's enough tracks for you to write, me write, everyone, or all of our friends to write, and then we push unpause on the world and then keep going. And there's just so many opportunities. If they're creating video content out there, then they need music. So simple as that. So awesome. Well, let's have a look at some of these questions. Will you elaborate on the V method? Okay, yeah, great question. So the V method, let me just put this here. So the V method is, as I was saying before, you start with the V. So what was I good at? I was good at acoustic guitar. I'd already practiced million hours and hours and hours. Maybe you're a piano player. Maybe you had to do piano before you could go to school every every day, you know, or maybe you're a trumpet player, maybe you did hours and hours of trumpet in high school, whatever it is. Whatever that is, we all have an asset. We all have this thing that we're really good at. We're coming to the table with, you know, maybe we've written 100 songs before. So we come to the table with something that we're good at. That's where you start, and you record those, you button those up, you learn how to push record. And if you're not quite good at recording, it's easier than you think. I would tell you, don't get overwhelmed and don't feel like, oh, I don't know where the record buttons are or anything. Just simplify everything. And if you're not quite sure, team up with somebody, team up with a friend who can, and maybe you do collaborations and you say, hey, can I come over and I will record my piano piece? You know, you practice up so you can nail it. And all they have to do is push record and you get that song done. And that's your V. You start there and then you build up from there. So, you know, maybe you do 10 of those, simple piano or simple whatever it is. Then you add percussion. So learn how to do some percussion, like what kind of plugins do you need, what kind of loops. You do that, you add that, and then you build it. And then eventually you're at a point where you're doing like epic trailers or something where it's just like, you know, you've got so much stuff happening, or maybe it's pop productions. Just because it's inevitable, you keep building out that V, and you just keep. Now you can do guitars, drums, bass, la 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 la, and you're just filling this V out with all these things. And you know, I'm looking in the chat here, and you know, I've seen it. You know, I'm looking at Vicky here. You know, Vicky's a great example of. You know, she started with more of a V. She was doing some certain things, and she got better at them, and just got better and better and better. And now she's doing more full productions with other elements, and it's just so cool to see. And but yeah, so that's basically the V strategy. You start with where you're at, start with what you're good at, and what you can bring to the table. So I do see Dave's hand here. So let me go ahead and unmute yourself, Dave Clemen.
Hey, Steve. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing great, mate. Two questions. Number one, what kind of vocal mic do you have there? I'm sure you're using that for recording. What is that puppy?
This one here, it's a nice microphone. It's the 87. So it's the AI 87 by Neumann. And it's a good microphone. It's like $3,500. You don't need to start there. I didn't start there with that microphone. The royalties paid for it, and so I started with where I was at, and I had a cloned 67 by Octave Mod, and then I upgraded to a Neumann TLM, and this is my main vocal and actually guitars. This is my main vocal that I use for guitars and vocals. And then I finally upgraded to the 87, and it's like, but start with where you're at. So yeah, good.
Well, I just had my first major upgrade with a screen, but this 58 has been my warhorse.
Good,
It's
yeah.
been working fine up until now, but yeah, I do want to upgrade just starting. Second question, when you first started getting placements, were you submitting your songs to a library, to a sync agent, to all? Were you doing it yourself? Who are you connecting with?
Great question. I met a publisher. I found my first publisher who got me that the University of Phoenix, and I basically kind of like just tried to, you know, see if I could send them more music, and we had a dialogue going and that kind of thing. So it was publishers. So I didn't focus on the sync agencies and all the ad houses and everything until years later, when I knew that my music was up there, you know, because a lot of the time they need top high-end music, and I wasn't able to do it when I first started. I know that. It was like I was able to do an acoustic guitar, you know, I was able to do these simple ones. Yeah. So I was able to send that to a publisher who needed a solo acoustic album, or they needed a beautiful piano ballads, or, you know, things like that, and I was able to kind of get in there, and one of the biggest things that I did when I was first starting is I used whatever I could. And so if I needed to have a collaborator to get my the quality level up, I did. I got a collaborator, you know, and that's what you saw from that Big Bang Theory one. It was a collaborator, you know, and he did. I got everything in tune and in time, and I wrote the song, and he did a lot of all the mixing and a little bit of the he did all the mixing and a little bit of the production. I think he played bass in it. He might have tightened stuff up as well, but it was a good 50-50 kind of relationship, good collaboration. So
awesome. Thanks, mate. Yeah, as James Brown said, you got to use what you got to get you what you want.
I like it. I love it. Absolutely. Cool. Yeah, I'll go with the hand up here. Nancy Boland. How you doing?
Hey, Steve. Great to see you.
You too. Good to see you.
Okay, so I wanted to know what seems to be the most popular musical cues that they tend to request?
That's a good question, a very broad question too, because first of all, I would recommend looking up like what gets used the most, or what, in general with all the different publishers. Look up a company called Tune Find, and you'll see what got placed yesterday, in a TV show. So that's a great way to kind of find out what they're looking for. But if you, it's a great question, because actually I'm answering that question as well in the, on the top of each hour, there's going to be a question that's answered, a little topic, and it goes for 3 or 4 minutes. There's 10 of those, and I answer that exact one, like what's the most in demand music that they need. And it's hard, because if you ask a publisher that, if you say, hey, what's the most in demand, they're not going to tell you, oh, get us top 40 stuff. They're probably going to ask you, what are you good at? What are you good at? Because they would rather you send in the best stuff that what you do. And then it'd be like, great, now they have a collection of that kind of music for when that pops up. Because there's no point if they say, well, you need to do urban hip hop, and you're like, well, I'm not a hip hop person. And they're like, well, that's what's in demand. Only do urban hip hop. Then you're going to be frustrated, and you're not going to be loving your life, because you're going to be like, I can't even stand this genre. If you can't stand that, you're going to be, I don't even want to do this anymore. And so it's a better question to ask, where would look up on Tune Find and find out what kind of music do I like doing, and if you hear it in a TV show or somewhere, then just shape it towards that. So for me, as an acoustic guitarist, I will listen to Tune Find. I'll be like, okay, no, I don't want to do that. Don't want to do that. Oh, some guitar stuff. Oh, I like that. What show is that? Yeah, I want to do that. And then maybe even take a jot down the name of the show, and then write a couple of tracks. Do 5 of them, like I was talking about before. We do a handful of these songs, and then send your best one to the publisher and say, hey, this is a track that would sound perfect on a show like the one you just heard. Let me know if that's something you would like. What do you think, or whatever. And that's probably a lot better approach than just a general approach saying what do you need, or what's most sought out there. Because the reason I'm telling you is because I said the exact same thing when I first started. I would approach publishers and say, what kind of music do you need? And it's like, they would give me the same answer and be like, we need it all, but what are you good at? And we know you can't do it all, but what are you good at? And if I said Irish bagpipes with didgeridoo or something, they might say, I don't think they could either say one or two things. They could say, I don't know if we can really license that. Or they might say, wow, we don't have one of those in our collection. So, but yeah, so that's a good question kind of to ask. So, yeah.
Thank you.
No worries. All right, Rob, I see your hand up there, Rob Patterson.
Can you hear me all right?
Got you nice and clear. Yeah, how you doing?
Hey, yeah, so no, I mean, because this is all fantastic. My only thing is I have no idea where to submit this stuff. Like, I've got back catalog, my band and I have stuff we've always thought, everybody has said, you should put that in placement. And I'm like, yeah, I asked my agent, but she was in a different field. She didn't know. She put me in touch with a music lawyer. He didn't know. I ask everybody, they don't know where. So then I'm so busy, you don't have time. So it just stays in the back of my mind. Like, do you sell a list? I'll pay you. You give me the list and I'll just submit to him and see what happens.
Absolutely. And that's a great question. And it's a hard one to answer in general. I do in my courses, I do introduce you to some of my trusted publishers. But I will tell you now that you can Google publishers, but it is a long shot too. It spends a lot of time, and then are they trusted? Are they, meaning that, are they even in working in the industry? Are they even getting their clients placements? Because I've done that before too. When I first started out, I would just, cold call or cold email a lot of different publishers, and it's like, well, I didn't know who they were, and did they have any credits? And and I did have companies that went out of business, and I've had companies that I follow up on 2 years later, and they're like, well, no, we don't do publishing anymore. It's like, well, good, they're great, you've got. I didn't say that, but I'm thinking to myself, well, you've got 5 of my tracks that you're signing, you're not doing publishing anymore. Thanks for letting us know. So then you got publishers that I had a publisher that went bankrupt, and they owed a bunch of money, and so.
Nice.
So it's hard, so it's a hard. I know your frustration. I've been right there, and the only thing I can say is you got to have those trusted publishers that are working in the industry. And then one step further is if I send one of my publishers who works maybe exclusively on like maybe the Kardashian show or something, where they're maybe doing a lot of urban or hip hop or something, if I send him my acoustic singer-songwriter track, even if we're buddies, he's going to say, oh, this is nice, thanks for sending it, what do you want me to do with it? Because my clients only want urban hip hop right now, and so you got to also kind of team up with what's going to work, because I always see a publisher as a business partner. When I sign a song to a publisher, I'm partnering with them, and so I want to get them something that they can earn money on, because if they pitch it and they get it to a show, and it sticks, they get the 100% of the publishing usually. Every deal is different, but
Right.
They'll keep the publishing, and then you keep the writers. But great, I kept writing music, and I kept being able to do music instead of what you were saying before. Who's got the time to be pitching all this stuff? And that's a whole different animal. A whole different. It can take a lot of time. Do you want to be emailing people all day and curating playlists and all that kind of stuff, and trying to get your stuff signed, pitching music all day, or do you want to be writing music? And I've already decided I want to be writing all day. So
Yeah, exactly. Because for me, I didn't mind if I was going to undertake an actual full-on project for a while doing that, but it was sort of like every time I had I would spend like 5 or 10 hours each week screwing around trying to find out where you go. And then the couple of people I knew who did it, they weren't going to tell me anything, I guess, because they were afraid I'd take their spot.
Well, what happens a lot of the time, and that's a big reason why I can't just say general statement and say contact this person or contact, because after a while they are connections that you've made, and if somebody says it's a trust thing, because if somebody says, hey, I was on a call and Steve said to, and they put your name out there, then it feels like, well, you're kind of like introducing them. It's kind of a bit of your attachment to it. And so I get where your friends are coming from, and it's a tricky one, but just keep trying, keep asking those questions, and keep trying, because you can stumble upon companies that are free to submit your tracks to, and so yeah, it's a tricky one.
So it's basically publishers, though, the same way you would publish your music through like ASCAP or BMI, and they would handle the administration of your music. You would submit the stuff to publishers that specify in this, and you just got to find the right ones and do it through them.
Yeah, sort of. There is a big difference between a publisher that's actively pitching your music and a performing rights organization, which is your PRO, ASCA, right, BMI, and CSAC for the states. They are a different kind of publisher.
That's true, because they're like doing the royalties. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
they're giving you your royalties, but they're just administering. They're not actually doing the publishing. Yeah, right.
Yeah, they're not pitching. They're not like some of my publishers are actively every day. They're pitching your music. I've become friends with him now, but he's like, dude, I was pitching your music just yesterday. We're going to stick something, and so he's kind of, you end up becoming friends with these guys because, as I said before, it's a partnership. I need them because I don't want to pitch my music every single day, all day, just sending out emails, and they need good music. And so great, win-win, and we hang out and we keep friends for a decade, the rest of our lives. Why not? If he's still pitching, I'm still writing music, so you become friends with these guys, So good question. Yeah. All right, we got a few more. Let me answer two more. Cinder says you don't need a million relationships, just a couple of good ones. Absolutely, absolutely. That's a great statement. I'm signed with like 25 different publishers, probably even more. But I really work for a handful of them that like we become friends. We just connect, and it's like, I got one publisher that I go surfing with, and it's like I get him music and he loves it, and we're just doing life. He does the pitching and publishing, and I do the music, and then we surf. So it's like, yeah, you only need a handful of these relationships, and it's very easy to do. So all right, any last questions before I let you guys go? Just looking over here. One thing I want you to do, takeaways and something from this call, because we're going to meet back tomorrow, same time for the live call. One thing I really want you to do is in the chat, in the Facebook group, share with me your dream. Tell me what your dream is. I love to see the different kind of dreams everybody has, because everyone's different. Not everybody wants to go out into big surf and get pummeled on rocks and reef. Not everybody likes that, but I'll risk it. But I would love to know your dream and what would be your freedom. What would be the why for you? Like, what will wake you up in the morning and be like, I'm doing this first thing. I'm going to get up an hour early and do this first thing before I have to do my day gig. So that's your homework for today. All right. So all right, so what is the Facebook group? The Facebook group is called I'll put it in the chat here. Actually, does somebody want to beat me and put it in the chat? Who's going to beat me and put it in the chat here? I'll see if I can get it up here. Tick, 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 tick. The race is on. I think I'm beating somebody here. Maybe.
I was looking for it, but I'm not getting it.
There we go. I win. I got it.
Yeah.
So, there we go. It popped up there 100 times now, probably. Okay, so it's called, I'll actually share my screen for a second as well so you can see it. It's a free public group. So it's called How to Get Music Placements That Pay for Decades. There's a link up there. It's in the chat as well. Join the group, and every hour there's going to be these little question and answer kind of things. 10 of them. So question number 3, and then we're going to be popping. There's going to be all the way up until 4 o'clock every day, the next two days, just to help you guys. I want you guys to have as many of these questions. I want you to take away so much stuff in the next few days, and you're just like, yeah, I'm off and running, and you're going about doing it. That's what I really want. And the big thing, make sure you sign up to my VIP email list if you want one of the prizes. I'm giving away 2 Sweetwater gift cards. I'm giving a couple of people the opportunity to collaborate with me. We'll actually do a collaboration, which is going to be so cool. And then also going to give away some scholarships to my courses. So you have to make sure you sign up to the email list. I'm actually going to go ahead and put it in there as well. Let me see if I can get that. Actually, it should
and you
be,
want us to do the question, the statement about our dream in the group page, or okay?
Yeah, in the group page, just say your dream in the group page on the Facebook page. But make sure if you want to win one of those prizes, make sure you sign up to the email list. And even if you want to keep on the a couple of times every month, I just send out great little tips, just stuff on this is how you do this is how you do this. And it's always better to listen to someone who's actually doing it than somebody that's just repeating other information, So let me just grab it real quick here, the sign up. All right, there it is.
Steve, I just want to say too, those little videos you're dropping into the group are great, because they're just a couple of minutes, but they're like, oh my, they're really informative and worth listening to.
Absolutely. Yeah, those are your questions too. I've asked around a couple of times, what are some things that will help you guys, and a lot of people have answered this one, or what about this, and so the little nuggets. Every hour there's a little nugget for you guys, and there's 10 of them, so it's like an Easter egg hunt. So you can find those little chocolate eggs. But I'm here to help you guys, absolutely. And it's really, really good to see so many great faces here. And I'm just looking at the chat. But I'm gonna let you guys go. We're just over an hour, and I want to make these keep these on schedule. And we will see you same time tomorrow in the same link. And I want to hear your dreams. Post your dreams in the group. All right, later.
Missed it. Oh.